Hey, welcome to the pod. Hello. What a hot track.
That song gets sexier every time.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so sexy.
So sexy.
So
Chris, how's it
sexy.
going?
Good, man. Do you want to do this whole episode in whisper?
I want to do ASMR, yeah.
Sexy. Be so sexy. Well, excellent. I'm not going to do that, but how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good. I am hot and sweaty, the opposite of sexy.
Tell me more. You can whisper if you want.
I'm sitting on ice packs. I just dunked my head in water.
Oh my.
Sitting on 2 giant ice packs.
Seattle sounds really hot, dude.
It's a scorcher.
It's a scorcher.
For here and for me, it's pretty dang hot.
Yeah.
Doesn't help that I'm inside, just sweating at my computer here. But
yeah. And that your lucky podcast outfit is like a downhill ski, like cold winter clothes.
It's true. Well, I gotta
the jacket, the snow pants. Yep.
I want this to go well. So
okay, good. Yeah. Well, you gotta wear your lucky clothes then.
Hell yeah. Well, welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles.
That's right.
Tanner and
Chris. That's me.
All right. This is the podcast if you're new, and you probably are. Where we watch every movie in a franchise, and we talk about all the different IP that goes along with it and how it gets milked for every last penny. And then eventually, every franchise turns out some stinkers. And here we are at Jaws 3D today.
Yeah. And what a film. I can't wait to get into it.
What a film. Oh
yeah.
My God. I don't even know where to begin. I know how to end though. I'm gonna have a lot to say about the end. Oh my goodness.
Oh, seriously. We're gonna meander through the first half of this movie and then it gets good. So hang on for the back half of this episode for sure.
Yeah, basically the first 90% of it is just throwaway. But
the first 90% of this episode is not throwaway. So let's get into that survey from Jaws 2, which we watched last week.
Sounds good. So we sent out surveys with every movie, and we have you guys make up or follow along and fill out prompts and kind of engage. And we read your answers on the podcast. So come join us and make some jokes with us. We need all the support we can get right now, We are desperate for attention. What about you, Chris?
Pay attention to me. Absolutely, Tanner.
Look at me.
Look at me.
All right. Last week we watched Jaws 2, the sequel to the original award-winning film, starring Roy Scheider reprising his role as Brody. We asked you guys your favorite line. 100% of the vote. Sharks don't take things personally, Mr. Brody.
The implication that Brody, Brody thinks the shark is there for revenge for the dead shark from Jaws 1, which was a plot point that they hit. So good.
I think that's the only time they brought it up. But it seems like it could be true in this movie, Jaws 3D.
Yeah.
Most insane moment was obviously the girl pouring gasoline on herself, shooting a flare and blowing up the boat. I haven't laughed out loud like that in a while until the end of Jaws 3D, of course.
Of course. And we will get there.
And then, was the city right to fire Brody? We both said yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
He put a lot of people in danger and acted really recklessly. And it was just a bunch of fish.
Yeah. He was, if it was the shark, he would have been seen as a hero, but unfortunately, he just was firing a gun on the beach.
Yes, he ended up being proven right in the end. I don't.
It's true, I guess, but still, in that moment,
yeah, in that moment,
not looking great.
Not looking great, Brody. Not your finest hour.
Favorite boat name? We both said Tina's Joy.
Okay.
All the kids had boat names, so that leads into this next question. What would you name your boat? We got Titanic 2.
Good.
I think that's a movie. We got to watch that.
Okay.
Tanner's Joy.
Like
the Floater.
Floater, good.
The Floater, and then this I stole from. This was a real thing that happened. Bodie McBoatface. Did you hear about this?
I remember Bodie McBoatface. Yeah, they did. Tell the story. I don't know all the parts, but it was like a online survey thing, right?
Yeah, that's about all I know. They were naming like a boat for the city or something like that, and that was the one that won. Bodie McBoatface. They did something like that in Seattle too, where they're naming like a garbage truck or something, or a snowplow, maybe. Can't remember.
Yeah.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna ask, did they act? Is there actually a boat out there named Bodie McBoatface?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. Yep, that's real. So I just looked it up. The newest snowplow in Seattle is named Betty Whiteout.
Oh, like Betty White?
Like Betty White.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that one won on a...
And then there was like Sir Plows-a-lot. I guess they do it every year. Darth Blader, Plow Chicka Plow Plow. Betty Whiteout, and Plowosaurus.
I love that they go out of their way to do this. This brings me a lot of joy.
Plowy McPlow. That's Bodie McBoatface one. And then the Big Leplowski.
Big Leplowski. Okay. I'm kind of amazed that Seattle, I mean, having lived there for a while, it doesn't snow often.
I know.
It's amazing they have this many plows.
I think these
are listing off like 6 or 7 names.
Some of these, I think there's only a couple names. I mean, they got to have a fleet of them, right?
Although I guess that's true. It's a big city. Yeah,
it takes a while to get it done, I will say, because they don't have that many. But I think a lot of these are finalist names, not the final actual name. Yeah.
I see.
Well, we'll save that for when we watch the Snowplow series, and we'll ask you guys what you name your snowplow.
Perfect.
Jaws 2, the next question. Jaws 2 gave the shark a face wound to make it look scarier. How would you make the shark scarier? We got eye patch to make it a pirate shark. And then a mohawk and a leather jacket.
I like that one. It's like a biker shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, so intimidating.
The Mutt shark.
That's right, yeah.
Mutt Jones from Indiana Jones. Make a tagline for this podcast, our podcast, using this tagline as a format. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. The classic tagline from Jaws 2. Just when you thought it was safe to see the 6th movie in your favorite franchise.
Da, da, da.
Just when you thought it was safe to hear a show about going back in the water. That's a good one.
Be careful listening to this show, guys.
What would you fill your bullets with to make them extra deadly?
And just if you didn't listen last week, there's this weird shot of Rob Schneider.
Not Rob Schneider. Roy Scheider.
Thank you, Roy Scheider, who is great in both of those movies. But there's this funny scene of him putting cyanide on the tips of some hollow point bullets. It's a real weird scene, and they don't really revisit it. Yeah.
And then like covering them with wax, and yeah, he never shoots them.
Yes.
So what would you fill it with? We got smaller bullets. Bullets filled with extra bullets. And then a curse. Then we got fentanyl.
Good.
It's the bullets are cut with fentanyl.
Can't get clean anything anymore.
We got peanuts, for all those peanut allergies out there.
Oh, that'd be so deadly, dude. One in like 200 people are really gonna hate those bullets.
And then this one is really bad that I wrote. Heartbreak. I was going for some meta answer. What a way to! I shouldn't have even read that one. All right, that is the survey there. Yeah, make sure to take the next one for Jaws 3D, and we'll read some of the answers out loud.
Absolutely.
In theory, if we had lots of responses and we had fans and all that, we'd narrow it down to some of our favorites.
Not if, Tanner.
Right now, we're reading even the bad jokes that we come up with.
That's right.
All righty. Well, should we get into Jaws 3D?
I think we better, man.
Oh my God.
We have
anything else you want to cover from last week, or
hours of chatter about that last 10 minutes of that movie to get
to? Yeah, let's get to the end. Let's start with the end.
Let's dive in. Oh man. Start with the end, you said? We just work our way backwards.
Let's just only talk about the end, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great call.
Well, this podcast will be about the first hour and 10 minutes, and then we'll make another podcast next week that's just the final 30 minutes.
Dude, it's like Harry Potter. We can make twice as much money by just spreading it out,
Part 2.
Part 2, yeah. Jaws 3, Part 2. Yeah.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Yep.
I feel like, speaking of that, I don't know if you saw... What's that?
I think Hunger Games did that too, but I can't remember the name of the third one. Yep.
Yeah, it was Mockingjay or something like that.
Jaywalking.
That's what it was.
With Jay Leno. Yeah.
I feel like it was a mistake with the Mission Impossible one. Just totally unnecessary.
Oh, I haven't seen the new one yet, so don't. I'm a little behind on that.
It's different when like the Harry Potter kind of makes sense because the last book is so much longer that it's hard to fit into one movie. So it's like okay, you split it up, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Let's talk more about this later.
Let's
put a pin on that.
Let's put a pin in it. Let's bring this into the third dimension with Jaws 3. What do you say?
Yes, can't wait.
Yeah,
Jaws
even
3.
the intro of this movie, it sets the scene for some terrible CGI 3D, and the 3D. I don't even know CGI is hilarious.
Whatever. The what?
Of what? Yeah, I don't even know what you would call it, but there's that scene in the intro before you've seen anything else of that floating fish head with blood behind it.
Yes.
And
so this movie is full of those just like this is made for just a 3D moment, right?
Yeah.
I logged all those moments in here just so you know.
Okay, well that better be a survey question or something.
Oh, it will be for sure.
Yeah. I guess I should have led into that a little better, but the beginning
that's how
of the
it starts.
movie.
That's my first note.
Yeah, starts with some underwater footage, and it's like these 3D moments that are terrible. Like watching it now, not 3D. Like the foreground doesn't match the background. It looks like somebody selected an image in Microsoft Paint and just dragged it over. You know what I mean? And so
or outlined it has that has that squiggly black and white outline that you might do when you're cropping something.
Yes.
Yeah, Jaws 3D. Not good in 2D.
Not the best. I would love to see this in 3D. Maybe it's better, or maybe it's the same.
Yeah, I don't know what 3D was like back then.
Yeah,
if it was any good.
Was it the blue and red glasses that you would wear? I'm assuming it's not the same ones they use.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Well. Anyway, Jaws 3. We have got Dennis Quaid in the lead role, and Leah Thompson and Louis Gossett Jr. And also in the credits at the beginning, I thought it was funny. They credited Alan Parker for the music, but then the next theme was Shark Theme by John Williams. So even though he's not doing the music, he's still getting credit for dun 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 dun, just that sound that they use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just that's the only thing that makes Jaws stand out from other movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or other shark movies.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. We start this movie. I don't know. The first part, as we've mentioned, isn't the best part of this movie, but we start with a ski pyramid. There is so much water skiing in this movie.
So much water skiing and like doing tricks.
So
like water
much
ski, like
water skiing. Yeah.
What do you want to call that? Water ski dancing and like water ski pyramids and
they do pyramids. They do jumping. They do like backwards. I don't know. We'll get to that because I started writing down all this water ski stunts in this movie.
There's not one water ski moment where there's just one guy water skiing. It's always minimum of like 4 people on one boat. Sometimes up to like 10 people.
Yeah, like huge pyramids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, why are no one skiing alone? You're totally right. It's always some sort of choreographed nonsense. And it starts with a huge ski pyramid. And one of the girls at the top like gives a look at a guy on the dock, and that was enough for them to all crash. And there's like, was the shark there already? I'm sorry, Tanner. I kind of lost the thread on this first scene.
Oh boy. No, I don't. Well, they kind of were like hinting at it. There's like underwater shots of like something kind of looking at them, but
okay.
I guess
you're right.
We
don't see the shark until later. We don't see the shark until later. This whole first intro part is just kind of like a big plug for SeaWorld. Like this whole thing is branded, and they're showing off some facility that they've got that has like an underwater like sea lab station with like pipes that people can walk through. And
it's like an underwater tube with like glass that you can look at everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. This is where you start. The first level I played in that Jaws game last week is this whole SeaWorld level where you're like you're breaking the glass of the spoiler of the tunnel and stuff like that, and you're like eating people and scientists and stuff like that, and like you're like in the SeaWorld tanks. But yeah, the plot of this movie is that the older kid from Jaws 1 and 2 has opened up his own SeaWorld with his girlfriend as the head marine biologist. Is that right?
No, he didn't open it.
I swear he said, because she said like Lou Gossett Jr., right? He might have been.
Yeah, Lou Gossett Jr. did.
But he like runs the place, right? Isn't he the boss?
My understanding of him is that he's like a contractor, and this got brought up in my mind a bunch of times. He's like a contractor, so I think he did most of the work building this new facility.
Okay,
that was what I got from it.
So he built it, but he doesn't. Well, he didn't like fund the money for it. I didn't think that, but I feel like he's like, I don't even know.
No, because remember he's talking about leaving to Venezuela. They bring that up a few times.
Yeah, that's true.
I think he's just there as a worker.
I thought she said something about you make it and I'll work it or something like that. Anyway.
I love that this movie's so convoluted that we're spending like the opening. What is this movie about? Arguing about what we thought the main character's role is. But it is important that he is the son of Brody from the first two. They bring it up a couple times, and each time I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how this is Jaws, because it's not in Amity. It's not on Amity Island. I don't know where.
Oh, it's in Orlando. It's in Orlando. Yeah,
it's in Orlando. That we just go to Florida, and it takes place at this ridiculous SeaWorld thing.
Is there a SeaWorld Orlando? There probably is.
There's got to be, right?
They mentioned Shamu at one point.
They did.
Free Willy himself.
Something that I saw in the credits, Shamu is a trademark of
Oh, really?
SeaWorld.
So he's like James Bond.
Yeah. Maybe. I guess he could be. They could bring on another one. So is Cindy and Sandy, the two dolphins in this movie. Those are trademarked names.
Oh, my God. Really? That's why there was the big moment at the end where they're like, Cindy, Sandy. Like they're making sure they said their names and like making sure they're okay. Oh, okay. I was like, they barely even showed these dolphins. Like they're just kind of there.
Yeah, but it's in the credits of this movie. I was reading through the credits to see if they had credited anyone for all this, like the skiing stunts. And anyway, Cindy.
Do you think there is like multiple Shamus. Like one dies, and then there's like the next understudy Shamu. Or Cindy
I
and
don't.
Sandy.
I don't think so.
Okay, because they do that with like mascots, like college football mascots, where there's like a horse, and it's just like they have like Fred the horse the 8th or something. Because like, well,
Yeah.
that's like the
Well,
new
I think orcas are so like endangered, and it's really
Right.
bad for them to have them in captivity. That I would imagine they don't do that, but maybe they do. I don't know.
But they still have some. Actually, I don't know what's still going on with SeaWorld. I know there's
After
controversy.
Blackfish.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're way off track, but
yeah, but the brother owns it, or he built it, and he works there, and then the younger brother comes and shows up as well. And I don't know any of them. Mike, I think, is one.
I was just gonna say Dennis Quaid's brother for the whole thing. His role is not important.
Yeah, no, not at all. But he is completely
scared of water. Yeah,
he's completely traumatized. If you remember in Jaws 2, he's like stuck on a boat for a long time and witnessing people get eaten right in front of him. And I'm glad they kind of like they made him afraid of the water instead of just completely, they gave him something from the previous movie like that.
Yeah,
some continuity.
Yeah, absolutely. He shows up to stay with his brother, who is played by Dennis Quaid, and they take him to a bar where they play the pushing game. Have you played that at a bar before?
Yeah, that's so funny. The balance game. He's a master of keeping his balance, and they just stand up and like put each other's hands up on one another, right? And they just kind of
balance. Yeah. And they're doing it at a bar, and everyone at the bar is so into it. It's I wish I was capable of having that much fun.
I thought maybe it's because like if you're drunk you have worse balance, and it's like how, but I don't think it had anything to do with drinking necessarily. It's just like a fun little game. This is before iPhones and stuff. This is
That's true.
1983. This is what people did. Back then,
they didn't have categories at the time, so they're stuck with this. But Leah Thompson's in this movie, and she's kind of the love interest for this brother character.
They meet doing this game. She's like keeping her balance over all these like big guys in the bar, and then he comes over and kind of tricks her. And
it's the old "my fly is down" trick.
Yeah, it worked.
That old chestnut,
works every time.
Mm-hmm. Tanner, what's your signature move in the game Standoff?
What's my signature move?
Yeah, like how would you pick up Leah Thompson playing that game in a bar?
Oh, I usually I say that her flies down.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
Yeah, say your fly is down. It works. Yeah.
That's great. I pay someone to come up and tap her on the shoulder to get her attention, and then I just shove her. I cheat.
Well, yeah, and then cheating gets you the girl, because that's what happens to the brother
in this movie. Yeah,
she falls for him. Like you could see there was like a sexual tension when they were playing the balance game. Is this really doing it for them right now?
Well, it obviously did, because the next scene after them in the bar is them down on the beach having some making out in the water.
Taking their clothes off.
Hot dang.
There's also a quick scene in here that they just right before this I have written down, where there's a man underwater, and I didn't realize until the very end. It shows there's a death scene here. There's like a guy.
Oh, yes.
It's one of the workers there, and he gets killed. And I don't remember anything about it because it seemed to happen very quick, right?
He was down. Yeah, there's a scene kind of in with this bar stuff where there's a big gate. So like the SeaWorld Resort has a lagoon that opens up into the ocean, and there's a big gate that closes. And at this brand new facility, the way they closed the gate was with a padlock. So you have to go down with scuba gear and padlock the gate shut. Am I remembering this correctly?
I don't remember that at all, but yes, I think.
Well, that's how this dude died, because then Jaws swims up and just munches on him. Yes, but
his name was Shelby something.
I was so excited to talk about that standoff game. I think you're right. There's a kill in here too.
There's a quick kill, and then there's another floating arm in 3D moment. So you get like,
that's right. Yeah, the floating.
Yeah,
arm
you get his
so
floating
good.
arm.
Yeah, we can't leave that.
But yeah, then there's the makeout scene at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else happens?
Meanwhile, during this same scene, there's a couple coral poachers. Was the best way I could think to describe them. But there's a couple like.
Oh my god.
I couldn't figure out for the life of me why they were like sneaking around. Yeah. Anyway, they did make one mention of going down to grab coral because they could sell it in Miami. Anyway, bad guys.
They were like thieves. They were dressed in black in a raft, and they were coming in and like diving down. I had no idea what they were doing.
I initially, when I saw them, because they didn't explain what they were doing until later, I was like, "Are they sneaking into sea? Like, what secrets does SeaWorld have that these guys are going after?" I don't understand it.
Yeah, I thought they were just gonna steal some. I didn't realize they were stealing coral reef. Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, no, that makes sense now. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, Jaws munches on both of those guys
and pulls the raft down into the water as well.
Yes. Yes.
Funny little shot. But these guys were never shown or talked about ever, right? Their bodies weren't found or anything.
Like before or after, right?
Yeah. I mean, as far as I could tell, I was waiting for the reveal of their bodies because later on, the worker with the padlock, his body is found, and that's kind of the first clue that they have that there's a shark, right?
Right.
But then these guys completely just written out.
Reports him missing. You know what I mean? He doesn't show up to work. Yeah. So there's a couple things.
And these guys are just for purely like, let's just throw some thieves in there to die. There's no follow up with that moment at all.
It seems like they were just like, this movie needs like one or two more dead people. So let's like.
I agree, honestly, because
like it doesn't tie in anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. There was like hardly any death scenes in this, but we'll talk about that at the end. But so this is kind of happening while they're swimming and getting all sexy, and let's see. Then Dennis Quaid and his girlfriend, they kind of like sneak up on him and are watching him make out, like all sexy. Like the girl seems very excited to be like sneaking in on them and watching them.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy.
She's like so pumped that she's watching them do this.
Is that how you felt watching them kiss also, Tanner?
Yeah. Oh, you should have seen the huge grin on my face. Wide-eyed.
I love it when you have a huge grin and wide eyes.
Thank you. My Tinder profile says huge grin, wide eyes.
You must get all the honeys.
All the honeys.
Mm-hmm. But we meet those characters, Dennis Quaid and his girlfriend, Dr. Morgan, who is like she seems to be like the dolphin expert at the SeaWorld.
Yeah, she's a marine biologist.
Marine biologist. It's like a lead doctor at the SeaWorld thing. And they're having some like marital or like relationship issues because he's thinking of leaving and she doesn't know if she's going to go with or if they're going to break up. And that is pretty much their storyline throughout this movie. And then we go and we meet Cindy and Sandy, the two dolphins, who are trademarked brand names by the corporation SeaWorld. So don't write those down.
This was really them too, right? Because I was like, she seemed to be very good at corralling these dolphins, and like they were doing tricks with her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they had actual like SeaWorld dolphins doing stuff with the actors, and I couldn't tell if like this girl was like the actress herself was just an actual marine biologist.
Oh, like a marine? Yeah, maybe she works at like I haven't seen her in anything else. Like maybe that's.
She's got a lot of credits. She's been in stuff, but
okay. Is it all dolphin based stuff?
I don't know. Maybe it's easier than it seems. They had a trainer behind her or something. Mm-hmm. No, it's not. Yeah, she has 80 movies. They're all dolphin movies.
Flipper 2, Flipper 3, Flipper 4.
The House of Flipper. There it is. Oh, she was in The Skateboard Kid.
Oh, I love that movie.
She's the mom from The Skateboard Kid. I just realized. Nice.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I remember that role, but
That movie is hilarious.
Oh yeah, Dom DeLuise is talking skateboard. How can you go wrong?
I mean, give me more Dom DeLuise any day of the week. Let's see. We also meet in this scene. So we meet Cindy and Sandy, and their trainer, who is Dennis Quaid's girlfriend, and we also meet this other character named Phil Fitzroyce, who's kind of a jerk.
A very pompous, annoying, like British man. He's like, "We're gonna go down to the water." That's kind of his accent. How was that?
Yeah. Is he a filmmaker or something?
Yeah, photographer, filmmaker, or something. He's
like,
trying to
seems to be like an adventurer. Just some pretentious
sorta
adventure guy. Yeah.
But he definitely is all about the footage and the cameras and like, trying to create a story. He might be a journalist, actually.
That could be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you meet him and then the boss, Lou Gossett Jr., right? Or did we meet him already? Yeah.
What happens after that, Tanner? So we meet those folks.
He hits on the girlfriend. She shuts him down, and that's never returned to. But it says something about how he like rammed his boat into a Japanese whaler or something like that. So maybe he's.
Oh, they did mention that, but then they made it because it got in the way of his photography. This is weird. Weird. Yeah.
Yeah. But what does happen next?
Do we get the submarine next?
Yeah, I think that what happens is the girl reports her husband or boyfriend missing, the guy who died.
Oh, and then they go looking for him.
They get in the submarine now, and so this submarine vessel, I had some questions. So it's filled with water.
Yep.
So what's so they're just in a submarine vessel, but also have scuba gear on inside of the submarine vessel.
I think the idea is probably you can go faster than just scuba stuff. But you're right, it's totally full of water.
Got it. Yeah. It's like a little propelling device.
Yeah.
It's kind of like an underwater mech suit or something for two people.
Sure.
Yeah,
so I especially loved how bad the old timey 3D looked in 2D with the yellow sub against the background of the ocean. It was a really jarring contrast and looked really terrible.
Yeah, it's terrible. You said the rocks, right?
Sorry. Yeah, just the submarine against the rocks.
Yes, that was another 3D moment. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Where it's like juxtaposed or like kind of like. It's like in front of everything else, but cropped on top. I don't know how to describe it. There's a couple of those in this scene with the sub and the rocks. And they find an old boat, an old Spanish galleon.
Mm-hmm.
There's just like an old pirate ship.
Was that
in the water right there in SeaWorld?
Was that in the lagoon too, or was this just outside of the lagoon?
This is like a huge historical thing. Did they just find it right there?
Just right there.
There's like dead bodies and skeletons in there, and like, the skeleton is another 3D moment where the hand of the skeleton kind of pushes out towards the screen.
And meanwhile, there's like hundreds of underwater scientists who work like 200 yards away.
And wait, does SeaWorld have underwater bases like this?
I cannot imagine. This is such an extravagant like home base. I can't imagine that.
It's like a underwater villains lair kind of thing.
Yeah, it's totally it's
it's
like an Octopussy thing. Yeah, for sure.
It's actually a lot like what they're building in the Meg, but the Meg is like that's like what they're doing, an underwater facility or something. This is just SeaWorld.
Yeah, just a place where people can go look at dolphins jump. This scene is really great though. So they get out of their little submarine and they're like looking for this missing guy and kind of poking around, and a shark shows up, and the dolphins, Cindy and Sandy, go like full Lassie. They like they get in the way of the shark to protect the scuba divers. The scuba divers grab onto their fins and they pull them through the water.
Yeah.
It was I don't know.
Yeah,
Cindy and Sandy, I'm on board.
Cindy and Sandy, I love it. They were just like holding on to them, and they were pulling them away from the shark.
Yes.
Pretty awesome.
And this was another one of those moments when I saw their names in the credits. I was like, that's why they got to be the good guys so often. Like
yeah.
This
movie was definitely funded by SeaWorld, huh?
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. It's very pro SeaWorld, very, I mean, even though like, I don't know, man, but everything goes wrong there. It seems like a very unsafe place to go visit.
Oh, yeah.
Even if Cindy and Sandy are heroes. So I don't know if that was money well spent, but whatever. It's clearly product placement for SeaWorld throughout this thing.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, after that, they managed to catch this shark that's swimming around in the lagoon. And Dr. Morgan, go ahead.
There's a whole conversation on whether they want to kill it or capture it. Yep. And the girl is like, no, convinces them to not kill it because she's the marine biologist and all that. And the Brody guy wants to kill it. And so do the other guys at first, but then they realize they can make more money and get more footage of like them rehabilitating it, have it be an attraction at the park and all that.
Yep.
So they're in it for the money now. They're going to capture the shark and be the first place in the world to have a great white in their facility. So, basically they don't address this at all, but it's completely her fault that all these people died.
You're right. I hadn't looked at it through that lens.
I mean, they could have just killed her, or killed the shark, and instead they brought it into the park. Great idea.
The real monster is Dr. Morgan. You're not wrong.
Yep.
But
so they decided to drug it and bring it in the park, and that's what they do. Let's see. So they have a little scene, another 3D scene of like they're filling up the
hunting. Yeah.
Well, they're filling up the things with like the needle with like the liquid, the MSG-22, which is going to sedate the shark. And there's like they squirt at the camera. That's like a little 3D trick.
That guy was pretty bad with a syringe.
Well, they was just made for just like, let's just point it and shoot it at the camera. Like they were just trying to get the needle as like a 3D effect. So yeah, the girl goes down with, what's his name? McCorky Dale or something?
Fitzroyce.
Oh, the actor's name is McCorkindale. Simon McCorkindale. Oh my gosh.
I thought you were making that up. No. His last name is McCorkindale.
Simon McCorkindale playing Philip Fitzroyce.
That's a mouthful, man. McCorkindale. That's quite a name. Yeah.
So they go down. He's got grenades, and they're like, "No grenades. We're not blowing up SeaWorld for the shark." The girl goes down with him and gets bit on the back by Jaws in the tank, not like breaking the flesh or anything. I forget all the events that happen, but I do know that they are able to spear the shark, and then she like pokes it with the poison or whatever it is, the liquid. Yes. So they successfully get the shark here. The 3D moment here is the spear as well.
The harpoon. Harpoon, I had that highlighted as well. It was also insane.
Yeah.
But they get the shark, they catch the shark, and they bring it in. And correct me if I'm wrong here. It was kind of a weird exchange. There's this moment right after where Dennis Quaid is looking at the shark, and he goes, "That damn mammal." And then she goes, "This one's a fish, a simple, beautiful fish." But sharks are mammals, right?
I think a shark is a fish. Actually,
is it a fish?
Yeah, because whales are mammals,
and sharks are fish.
Sharks are fish, and like orca whales, dolphins, those are all fish. Yeah, pretty sure.
Orcas are fish? Orcas are mammals.
Orcas are fish. They're dolphins.
Yeah, but I think dolphins are mammals too.
Oh, they are mammals.
What up?
I'm an idiot. Well, then why are they dolphins are mammals?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Then that makes sense. That's fine.
But what about sharks? Can you look up sharks?
Sharks. They are not mammals. Because they lack all the characteristics that define mammals. Duh.
They are fish.
Like
I'm an idiot, though. I'm an idiot. My apologies for taking us off track there.
Why
I was going to give her some heat. Because she's supposed to be a marine biologist, and she didn't know about sharks being mammals.
If they screwed that up, I mean, come on. They gotta get that right at least.
I think I was just lumping them with orcas and whales and stuff. So that's my fault.
So that means sharks have eggs, right?
They must.
That's the difference. It's not mammals have live births. Okay.
That's why you never see. Okay. Yeah. All right.
That's why I never see what? Sharks giving birth? There's a shark egg right there.
Ooh, that's fun.
That's a weird looking. It's like a corkscrew.
Yeah. It seems like it'd be painful to push out.
No, anyway. Going the other way probably feels good.
Okay. Anyway, that's your biology update for this week. The right after that, though, it was kind of like there's this shark that we're supposed to be terrified of, but they're just like hanging out in the pond with it without restraints or anything.
Yeah,
I thought that scene was kind of strange.
Wait, what was it? Sorry, I missed.
Well, right after they caught that shark, they had it in the tank, and they were just kind of like hanging out with it.
Yes. Yeah, they were just like in the tank, like holding it. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. And like 5 minutes earlier, this was supposed to be the most terrifying.
Well, it does when it comes back. When it starts to come back to life at the end of that scene, they get the hell out of the water immediately. But they shot it with the spear and they drugged it with whatever. And like,
sure,
the whole thing here is that they're trying to rehabilitate it because it could die from the wounds that they gave it. So they were trying to like rehabilitate it and get it back to normal. And then I'll get there in a second. The shark does die, doesn't it?
The baby shark? So. Yeah, I think so.
So I think that's what it was. It's just like it wasn't like a threat because it was so wounded, I think is what it was.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense, I guess.
Yeah. There's more. I was gonna say there's a bunch of like random 3D scenes, and like this is like the opening day now of SeaWorld. And there's 3D like orcas jumping. There's like jumping at the camera. There's the ski men shot of like ski men that's coming at the camera. I think that's a 3D moment with the skis and everything.
So many
piranhas. There's like a little fake piranha thing that pops out. I just love that as a gimmick. Like, you remember after Avatar in like 2010, everything was 3D, and there was like the second wave of 3D that came out. And it was just like there's all these gimmicky shots where you just have like spears or arrows or whatever, and it's like this is just obviously filmed this way just for a 3D moment, but it doesn't quite fit, you know?
Yeah.
And this movie is full of that shit.
Yeah.
But like way worse looking.
Yeah. The one that I remember is the orca whale jumping up, because they don't show the orca whale the rest of the movie. But the whole thing's in slow-mo, and it's just so clearly just for that moment, and it doesn't fit with the rest of the movie.
I had this idea after Avatar where, instead of doing these little gimmicky shots in every movie, it's just kind of like, it kind of ruins the actual movie you're trying to watch. Like Avatar didn't do it because the whole thing's 3D, right? It's like, but some of those movies where it'd be like, I can't even think of something like a Marvel movie or a Disney movie or something where they just had specific 3D moments. Just get rid of that. I don't want to see that. Just do a whole movie called like Stuff Coming at You in 3D. And it's just
no plot.
Showcasing, no plot, no nothing. It's just showcasing what you can do with 3D and like make the coolest looking 3D stuff that you can for like an hour, and just like just pump it full of just show off what you can actually do with it. I don't know. Come up with cool things like exploding things that looks really cool in 3D. Like, you know how they do those slow motion things getting crushed and they explode on YouTube? I don't know if you've seen that.
You want
but
that,
do something like that in 3D, plus like maybe shoot an actual arrow like towards a camera and do that in 3D. I don't know.
Oh, sign me up, baby.
Yeah. I just want to see that stuff coming at you in 3D. That's my idea.
I'm all about it. Yeah.
Okay.
Hollywood, call us up. I know
Yeah.
your writers are on strike right now, but
Yeah, well, there's no writers
maybe
needed
Tanner will
for
be a
this.
scab.
There's
Yeah,
literally
yeah.
no writer. This actually is perfect for right now because there's no writers needed. You just
need some sick footage, sicky
need
footage.
the cameras. And that's it.
Yeah.
Some ideas. All right, I got us off track there.
Yeah.
Opening day, SeaWorld, just kind of showing all the stuff, all the sights, all the people.
Yep. A lot of ski trick footage. And like Tanner mentioned before, the small shark has now died, or it's really sick. I didn't quite catch the difference, but and we get a couple of shots of the little brother, Dennis Quaid's little brother, who is terrified of water, and Leah Thompson is like trying to get him to go on the bumper boats.
Yeah, and he's being a real wet blanket about it.
Real wet blanket. Yeah, he's not into it. Every party needs a pooper, and he is the pooper for this party.
Yeah, he sucks, but it makes sense. If you saw him cowering in fear in Jaws 2, you're like, I get why he's like this.
Yeah, you can empathize.
Yeah. Yeah, although he was in the water just like the night before, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Girl, so.
But he was getting kisses, so
That's
like
true.
The cost benefit's a little different.
He was this close from getting laid last night.
In the ocean. It would have been so salty.
Well, Dennis Quaid makes that joke, but he's like this close, and I think he was doing like a dick size joke because
I remember that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was okay. Yeah,
that was an alright joke.
It was okay. But
anyway, so yeah.
We're opening day at this ridiculous resort, and we see all these things that Tanner was just explaining. There's also an undersea haunted house with like weird octopus tentacles and stuff that they just show for one scene. It's kind of odd. And then down below, remember the lagoon has this weird sea lab thing built underneath with like tunnels with glass windows so you can like look out at the wildlife. And then there's like these hubs kind of built throughout this series of tunnels. And there's a group down there just like looking at the animals out through the window. And who pops up, Tanner?
Shelby or whatever, the missing worker. The dead body pops up in the window, and these young girls are just screaming. And there's a funny little moment because they start screaming, the body shows up, and then she's like being pressed against the window.
I wrote that down too. Someone literally pushes her towards this floating dead head.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
Well, I couldn't tell if she just she wasn't anywhere near the window necessarily. Then like there's a quick shot of her just like pressed up against it, like right head next to the other head on the other side.
Yeah. And you see the hand on her back. It's real weird.
Was somebody actually pushing her?
Yes.
I think it might have been, I just dawned on me that it might have been like a panic moment. It's supposed to be like everyone's kind of shoving everyone and like getting out of the way, and maybe she kind of got pushed into it.
No, that might be.
That's maybe what they were going for. Because I don't think somebody was like bullying her in that way, like trying to like make her get closer. I think it was more like a mob mentality moment or something.
Yes.
Like being trampled at Walmart. Anyways,
it sends everyone into a panic down below, and we get this shot of they dig the dead guy out of the water, and the close up of his face in the morgue is incredible.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Very strange. It's like cartoon character, and there's worms in his mouth, and he's been like rotting. It makes Dennis Quaid vomit in one of his finest acting moments in this movie. The fake vomiting, and I don't know. It's a really ridiculous scene, and
Dr. Morgan insists on looking at it because she's seen that before, but then gets really overwhelmed and kind of freaks out. But they go into talking about how there's no way that they're like, is this the shark? Was this a shark bite? Yes, it was a shark that killed this guy. But there's no way it's our shark that we had that died. Right. Did they already do that scene where like they put the shark out for people to see and then it died in front of everybody? Did we already say that?
Yeah. We mentioned that briefly. But
that died in front of the crowd.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they're like, it can't be this shark because it doesn't have a big enough mouth. Yeah. So they definitely they got me here because I was looking this whole time. I was like, Jaws is so small in this movie.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't realize that it was going to be like the baby of Jaws this whole time.
Yeah, they pulled a little switcheroo on everybody here.
Yeah, I was like, well, they really went small. Why did they do that? But yeah, so she then just says, well, that must be the baby, and then the mother must be out here as well because this all happened inside the park. The shark was found inside the park. The body was killed inside the park. The mother must be inside the park as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is where this movie takes a turn, for me at least.
You know what? I thought it was nice, though, that they made Jaws a girl this time. I thought, the mother.
Title IX. And this movie at this point switches for me from being kind of a boring movie. If you couldn't tell, I was like losing some of the plot points earlier on, into just insanity. The rest of this movie is great.
Yeah.
Would you agree? I thought the rest of this was just a delight.
It definitely was. Definitely got better. I thought really just like the last 10 minutes was worth every penny, and even leading up to that, I was kind of like, whatever. But let's talk about it.
Yeah. So at this point, they realized that the mother did it. It wasn't the baby shark that they had in captivity. There's another one, and there's this amazing line where Dr. Morgan says the animals are inside the park. And then Dennis Quaid responds, but instead of being like, oh no, people might die, or oh no, our opening day, or any normal reaction, he goes, the ski show. Because that's what we're supposed to really care about in this movie is like their sick water ski tricks going off without a hitch. So they run upstairs because they're from the morgue. And everybody immediately like freaks out. Like they close down the park. The shark hasn't attacked anything yet, except for this one dead body at the bottom.
Yeah.
But like they're calling for like the whole park to be shut down. And like, in theory, this thing should be pretty shark proof, right?
You'd think, but
you would think. Anyway, but no. We get a bunch of sick ski tricks, and everybody's kind of running around. Do you want to take part of this?
He just goes running to the area where they're doing all the tricks, and is like, get out, that kind of thing, just running and causing a panic, and no one really realizes what's happening until you see the shark fins, and then everyone gets out of the water just fine. He saves everybody. No, Chris, did you think that when he was running to see when he said the ski show, that he just was missing it? Like he was like, I gotta go watch that.
I gotta go watch it. Well, I mean,
I'm missing the ski show.
We do see people skiing backwards. We see skiers going around the boat that they're skiing behind. We see 10 girls across. We see girls on people's shoulders, like doing gymnastic stunts. One of the gymnasts is the one who spots the shark. It's just like just a potpourri of ski tricks.
I'm glad you documented all that.
I did just the whole time. I was like, they did that too? They did that? Like, what an insane movie. And then the one scene where you start hearing the Jaws music again, the shark is chasing there's a line of like 10 women skiing side by side. Yeah. And the shark is like chasing them, and the music is playing, and it's like, this is when you think of like the suspense and the terror of the Jaws music, like this is not what it goes with. Like women 10 wide water skiing, like what is this movie become?
I know. And nothing happens even in this scene. Like it doesn't even get anybody.
This is true, but I couldn't stop laughing. I thought all of this was just hilarious.
It's pretty good. It does. So then after that, the skiers get saved, but it moves. And then it moves into the bumper boat area, and it's the little brother and Leah Thompson, and they get knocked off of the bumper by the shark, by Jaws. Immediately. Yep. And she gets bit, and but doesn't get killed. She just gets bit by the shark, and they get her out, and that's the last you see them. They go off to the hospital together.
Yeah.
Little brother is no more. And then, does anything else happen in this this pandemonium scene, Chris? Before
there was another scene in here that I feel like we should mention where the shark like swims by a dock and the dock just all breaks. Like all of the wood breaks, but like down the middle, it's
and there's blood everywhere during that scene. Just I guess somebody cut their leg on the dock or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
So at some point she calls the shark a big old bitch or something right here, which I thought was funny. Mm-hmm. We got to catch that big bitch. And then then it goes after the tunnel. So that underground tunnel that we talked about, where they saw the dead body, and there's still a bunch of people, even though there was a dead body scene 2 minutes ago and people are screaming. They're still all under there. They didn't leave. Yeah. So they've all got tour guides and all that, and Jaws comes and they see him, and he starts ramming the tunnel here, and it starts leaking.
Yeah, bad.
So the pressure is getting, how is it, depressurizing?
It must be, because otherwise the pressure would keep the water out.
Yeah. And then it's leaking and filling up with water, and it's getting pretty bad. It's cracking, and everyone's running through the facility to like the exit, and then they end up closing everybody in this one tiny little room that's filling up with water. It's a whole bunch of pandemonium. And they get the doors shut through the computer system or whatever, and everyone's kind of okay. And they're stuck in there, though. That's the next part, right?
Yes. There's also a scene in here that resolves the Dennis Quaid like love story thing. They agree to go to Venezuela, and it seems like odd timing because it's kind of his fault that this thing is falling apart. He should know what sharks are capable of, and they should have built these tunnels a little more secure because they immediately started leaking.
Yeah, but
seems like he's running from a problem he created.
Expect to have a 35-foot shark in there.
No, this is true. Yeah. You make a good point.
So they're gonna now. The plan is to get those people out. They're gonna weld. It's like a welding. Turns into a welding movie all of a sudden. So there's plans. They're like, all right, we're gonna weld this thing shut. We'll get everybody out of there, and so they do that. Underwater welding is happening, and they have an idea to lure Jaws into a drainage pipe.
Yes.
To just get it out of there. I don't even know. Was that a permanent solution?
Oh, I think it was just like in the short term they needed to get the shark out of there so they could get the people out of the tunnels or whatever and do the welding mission, like you said. But yeah, they devised a really stupid plan.
Oh, it's so dumb.
Yeah.
So it's the two photographers, the British guy, the McCorkindale Fitzroyce or whatever.
Yep.
And his British friend, who is another photographer, and they kind of, what is the plan exactly? He just like
the plan.
He's the human bait.
Yeah. So get the shark to chase the humans and follow them into this tunnel, and then at the end, and then they'll close the tunnel behind the shark and have it like locked up in this tube.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So one of the photographers goes in, the McCorkindale. Now I can never say his character name. He lures them, they're banging on it. Oh, and they're obsessed with making sure to get the footage, right? They both want to have cameras and make sure they get the best footage for this. So they're still obsessed with that. And he bangs on stuff and gets Jaws to follow him and lures them into the water pipe. No problem. It was like way too easy. And then the craziest scene happens. First of all, Jaws is so slow. Why is Jaws so slow in this?
I don't know.
It's just like he's moving like 1 mile an hour. Like he's so slow through this whole thing that you could just swim away from him at like a regular human swim speed. And so he's. Oh God, do you want to explain what happens here, Chris?
Yeah, man. So they follow Fitz in there, and like Tanner was saying, the slow shark is like in pursuit of this Fitzroyce guy, McCorkindale, if you will. But he like loses power. Doesn't he have like a propeller thing that's pulling him through the tube?
I guess I thought he was just swimming, but maybe.
Oh, he might just be swimming. Regardless, at one point he takes off his own helmet because the shark has caught up to him and starts hitting the shark with his helmet because his terrible plan failed. Like, he used live bait to attract this shark and then just immediately got caught in the tunnel by this slow shark.
Yeah, and this it was like, the zombie movies where they're moving so slow and they can't get out of the way.
Yeah.
They're screaming for like 2 minutes as it gets closer and closer slowly. Yeah. So I guess he's hitting his helmet. I forgot about that part, but then he gets swallowed whole by the
Yes, he
shark.
does.
He just kind of
Yes, he does.
the shark.
That's what you were setting me up for. My apologies.
Yeah. No. He the shark just like gets, I don't even know. He just kind of slides right into its mouth. He doesn't chew him or anything. He just like slides into the entire body of the shark. And I don't know how deep a shark's body goes like that. But his entire body is inside.
Not
and he's
yet,
like,
you don't, Tanner.
and he was trying to get out. He's like trying to pull himself out in between jaws. Like, he's like chomping, but not chewing on anything. So it's almost like,
Yeah.
there's might be a moment for him to escape out of the shark's mouth or something. And he's trying to do that, but then he just gets crushed or dies somehow, right?
But without being chomped up.
Not chomped at all. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He just,
those
I don't even know.
Scary teeth did not even touch Fitzroyce.
Yeah. So the jaws are chomping. He never gets chomped. He's just inside of the belly of the shark. And like his hands are kind of trying to reach out, but something crushes him and kills him anyway. I guess the shark's stomach contracted and crushed him to death. Do you have any idea what that was?
I have no idea. That must, maybe it's the swallowing muscles are just so strong that he got crushed to death. Yeah, like boa constrictor style.
It's hard to explain how ridiculous that scene was, but it was so slow and like tensionless.
Yeah.
And then he just gets swallowed alive, like, or stuck inside of the mouth of it whole.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, he didn't escape, and it was a very baffling scene. And then very quickly the shark is able to escape from this tunnel plan.
Yeah.
Which I also don't really understand, because sharks famously can't swim backwards. And you would think like the shark.
It did swim backwards, 100%.
Oh, well, they can't. Okay, well, there we go.
They can't really. I didn't know that. Is that a thing?
Yeah, pretty sure.
What, just sharks or all fishes?
I looked up yesterday. The only fish species that cannot swim backward.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely show it swimming backwards specifically.
Okay. I also liked in that scene. They had locked the gate behind the shark, but we get to watch, because at this point, like, Louis Gossett Jr. is in like this kind of command center thing with like video feeds coming in from different places, and they have a video feed of the locking mechanism on this gate, like a zoom in where you can just see the locking mechanism. So we get to see the lock break and the and
I didn't even see
back into the lagoon.
I thought that was just us seeing that, like the director showing us that, but that was on the camera that he was watching.
That was through the camera footage. Yeah, it was super funny.
That's great. And then Jaws is he's loose again, and now he's coming after the welding and the girl. And so she sees Jaws, and they drop the welding stuff and start to get out of there. But they're saved again by, what is it, Sally and Susan?
Cindy and Sandy.
Cindy and Sandy with the dolphin distraction here.
Dolphin to the rescue, man. Come in to distract the shark. And then finally, distract him just long enough, or her just long enough. Excuse me. The shark is a lady in this one.
Yeah.
And Brody, Dennis Quaid and Dr. Morgan swim through like the hydro latch thing through the door, and just as they're about to close the door, the shark sticks like 2 teeth through the door. And I like thinking about like the way a shark would have to put his face for that to work.
Just the one tooth kind of gets in there, kind of like you're wedging it with your foot, with like wedging a door open with your foot, but it's one tooth.
Yeah, it's a tooth. And but they're playing it off like it's really scary, and it's like, I don't think that's that scary, but maybe I'm wrong.
There was also a quick shot of, I'm pretty sure they had Jaws like growling. Did you see?
Was it really? I must have missed that.
Or like roaring or something, like a very subtle like growl roar, like a beastly guttural sound that it made. Yeah. And I don't think that they do that, but I could be wrong.
Yeah. So are we into the 10 minutes that you mentioned before, Tanner? Are we into that at this point?
I think we're at the final 10 minutes, which I have 4 times I wrote LOL in the next 1 page of notes.
Excellent. Well, do you want to dive into those notes a little bit?
I like to write LOL. If I laugh out loud during one of these movies, I write LOL, so I remember that I laughed.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's immediately right after this. They get all the people out safely.
They're out of the tunnels. Yep.
Yeah, they're out of the tunnels, and everything seems to be okay for a second. And they're in the command center, and the best 3D moment of all time is about to occur.
Of all time. It is incredible.
It's looks so shitty. It's just like this this slow moving shark coming at the screen in that same effect that we were talking about, where it's like copied and pasted or whatever, pasted on in front of another picture, right?
Yeah.
And then a slow motion shot inside of with Dennis Quaid and the girl and Louis Gossett Jr. And they're all just like.
But before you get to the big reveal too, before when it was like a dead arm or when it was like a submarine, those things didn't have to move. But they obviously didn't have like the technology with the shark because none of the swimming muscles are moving. Like the tail doesn't move. It looks like a stuffed animal of a shark that someone's moving. Like it's not moving, but it's moving towards you in this terrible 3D. I'm sorry, I needed to interject that because
that's awesome. You're right. It wasn't like a swimming animated shark. Even it was just a picture of a shark coming towards the screen,
like a taxidermied shark moving towards you through space.
Oh God, it's so crazy. What happens after that, though?
No, I want to set you up for this because it is such a great.
Oh, okay. Well, it's coming. It's coming slow motion. Everyone's in slow motion. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening? Yep. And it bursts through the glass, and the glass breaking again, like so trash.
So trash.
And it breaks the glass for this like hub, the main facility here, and all hell breaks loose. It kills. I think it's like his nephew, Louis Gossett's nephew. I think maybe they mentioned that. This young guy that works there, so it eats that guy. So he's inside the facility now. And you see, he's like half in. He can't fully get in the little like, what do you call that? The
like
window
into the
whatever.
Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it can't quite. The shark is too big to actually get in the room with all of them. And so it's kind of just like snapping and biting, halfway in, trying to kill everybody. And you can see the British man inside of the shark the whole time, which I thought was really funny. And then I realized what they're doing here. They start poking at him like, what the fuck are they doing? What are they doing here? And I realized the British guy is holding one of those grenades that they had talked about earlier in his hand while inside the shark. And I'm like, no, they're not. No, they're not going to do this, are they? And so,
and I want to remind you, like, this guy got eaten like a scene and a half ago, and Jaws also just ate someone else.
You're right.
But somehow this undigested British guy is at the front. Like,
I didn't even think about that. They just ate. He just killed somebody 1 second before that, and he still
just killed somebody else. Yeah.
He's like stuck in the throat of Jaws or something.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like he's pouch of chewing tobacco. He's just like holding him off to the side,
And he's got that like rigor mortis, I guess. So he hasn't let go of the grenade that he was holding in his hand.
Yeah, right. It's still just in his hand. And this is such a cop out of an ending. Because what happens with the grenade, Tanner? Should we wrap this up here?
They just they get some long stick or whatever it is, some kind of pulling device, and they pull the pin on the grenade, and then the shark luckily backs away a little bit and closes its mouth and explodes, and a massive amount of blood and guts come out the screen in 3D. The 3D blood and guts and the teeth, like the jaw, the mandible of the shark is like stuck in 3D right in front of you.
The jaws. Yeah,
the Jaws. Yeah.
But it's like such a lame. Like I mean, the first movie they shot a scuba tank, and that's what killed the shark. Pretty dope. Incredible scene. Even in the second one, I would say that them getting the shark to bite the underwater like power cable is not a bad way to kill one of these giant sharks, right?
Sure.
Yeah, this one is the lamest by far. It's just such a cheesy, stupid way to put the shark out of its misery.
So good.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so we get the crazy 3D at the end, and then there's like a couple scenes left, which I thought were hilarious. They made a point to let us know that Cindy and Sandy were okay.
Oh yeah, no, they're out in the water, and they're like, there's a whole 2 minutes of them looking for Cindy and Sandy, and I'm like, I didn't even realize that they had names, first of all, or that they were like characters to be sought after, like that we should have been worried about. It just all of a sudden, like they saved the day at one point. I was like, oh, the dolphins are saving the day. They're smart. That's cool. And then I realized, they're like, they made a huge point of making sure the dolphins are okay. I love that you discovered their names and all that. I did not see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the movie ends and there's a huge celebration that both the dolphins are okay. What were you saying?
Oh, the final scene, it ends in freeze frame and it fades to black. And the freeze frame is a sunset with Dr. Morton and Dennis Quaid in the foreground, and the two dolphins are jumping up on each side.
Yeah, and I think that was a 3D moment as well. I think the dolphins were supposed to be, because it looked like it was pasted on there.
It looked like super cheesy. Yeah. But what a way to end a movie. You know what I mean?
I think I laughed the hardest on that last frame because they're just like
two dolphins in frame with a sunset in the background.
And it ended like one of those sitcom. The sitcom episode ends when like freeze frame and they're all giving the high five or something.
Exactly.
It was like one of those finishes. Yeah.
Oh, it was so good, man. Such a good ending.
Those last 10 minutes. I mean, even like leading up to it, there wasn't many kills, you know?
Yeah.
Throughout the whole movie, I was like, what is going on? Like, I know it's PG. Again, like, why are these movies PG? It should have been like, if you're going to make a horror movie out of like the third one, make it R. You know, go for it and make some scary, crazy movie. Like a schlocky, you know, 80s
like
horror movie. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Do Piranha. Yeah.
But yeah, so it was pretty. I wasn't bored really throughout any of the movie, but overall, those last 10 minutes were everything to me, and they were so good. It's so insane.
It's everything you could want out of a bad movie. If the whole movie was that insane, this would be like a 5-star classic, you know?
Absolutely. It makes me very excited for the fourth one because that one is PG-13, I saw. So I think that maybe they up the crazy factor a little bit.
Excellent. I'm having a lot of fun watching these ones. This is a fun franchise.
Yeah, this is great. So what'd you think of the movie overall? I guess we kind of talked about it. What worked, what didn't for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you view this as like kind of a bad movie with some like out of date, you know, technology and some silly storytelling choices, it's a really fun movie to watch in the last 10 minutes. I feel like that's most of what I enjoyed about this. The actual movie itself, I think, is a little boring. And the first part and all the tie-ins to, you can tell they went out of their way to make like a lot of tie-ins to what's that place called? Ocean City, SeaWorld. You know what I mean? And it just feels, I don't know. Like, what did you think about it? What's your takeaway here?
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible movie, but you know, we love bad movies here, so I mean, the last 10 minutes was totally worth the price of admission for me in that way. It's not a great movie, of course, like the first movie, but it's entertaining to look back on. Now, was it good enough to deserve a sequel? I don't think so. I think they should.
I don't think so either. I think they should
stop now. Like they're in cash cow territory, and it worked for this one because it made significantly less, and only because it's brand name, I'm sure. but it made 87 million worldwide on a $20 million budget. So it was a financial hit. I guess that's all they need to know. They're like, well, we can make another sequel and squeeze out some more bucks from this. Doesn't matter how shitty it is. People see it because of the name.
Cash cow still plump, man.
Milking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the MVP of this movie for you, Chris, was what?
Oh man. That's a great question. Do you have one at like the tip of your tongue? Give me a second.
I think it's just the overuse of 3D moments.
Yeah.
I just think it's so cheesy. It's just such a obvious ploy. It takes you out of the movie, first of all. Like as far as like a full watching a movie, it's just such a. And this is MVP. It's kind of a tongue-in-cheek thing, you know. I'm kind of like, it's my favorite part of it because it's so bad, kind of thing.
Sure. I think I figured mine out.
Yeah.
I think it's whoever was in charge of all the water ski footage. There's so much. I can't stress this enough. How many water ski stunts were in this movie? It's just, I don't know. There's not a lot of things I could think of someone doing on water skis that weren't shown in this movie.
God, yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously, did you happen to notice any names in there? Were they Sally and Susan of water skiers?
Well, they did. So in the same thing, it did the trademark on Sally or Sandy and Cindy, and it did also thank the. I wrote it down. The SeaWorld water ski team. And so I feel like it was kind of a package deal, and they had all these tricks they could do, and they just decided to put all of them into the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they just needed more time. Like the opening sequence is just a long ski scene, and
yeah,
it's like 2.5 minutes long, just filling up time. So
yeah.
anytime they need more time, just add more footage of that, which is like, there's some impressive stuff. I don't really see any of that anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like that kind of stunt water skiing, or what do you synchronized water skiing or whatever?
I have a lot of questions. Yeah. Is that a job anymore? Like, could we go do
that? Yeah. I don't see why not. We could do it, Chris. Me and you, I'll get on your back and do like a Superman on your back or something.
Perfect. You got to wear one of those cute skirts.
I will. Yeah. It'll be blowing in the wind.
Yeah.
It says that the filmmakers, back to the 3D stuff, they plan to have very few pop-out effects. But the studios were pressured into including a lot more, thinking that they would be disappointed and have bad word of mouth if there was no 3D used, or not enough. So they just threw in a bunch of those little moments. That's why we saw so many just obvious, like, here's something in 3D. Here's something that's obviously made for 3D. Yeah, here's an arm.
That makes so much sense, because that's how a lot of those scenes feel. Like somebody just was like, all right, like put an arm in this one, put a fish head here. Yeah. So would you wear I don't know, because when you watch 3D movies now, like Avatar, you wear the glasses the whole time. Would you watch this whole movie with red and blue glasses on?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
I don't see why not.
All right.
Yeah, on that note, I noticed just in normal shots in the film that there was like some corners and some stuff that was kind of like that red and blue look. Have you ever seen one of those movies without wearing the goggles? Like what it looks like? Like I feel like there's still like traces of like the 3D effect on the footage throughout the entire film.
Okay.
Maybe not all of it, but some of it. I noticed like a little bit of that. Like it's like a red and blue kind of like filter that they throw over it or something. So yeah, the whole movie was definitely in 3D. And I think that's, like it said in the thing I was reading, that the 3D they really just wanted to add depth to it. And then they add like the pop out effects and stuff like that.
Okay.
Later.
That makes sense.
So But what a movie.
What a movie, man.
Do you think that they should have made more movies, or should this have been the end?
I think this should have been the end. I mean, it didn't seem like they had a lot of creative juice left for number 2. So this one felt like a little bit of a stretch that it's here at all. But
I'm surprised.
I'm excited to watch 4. I think
all
it's
4 movies.
Awful.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm surprised that all 4 of these movies, all are connected to the Brody family. Like, I didn't realize. I thought that it would just let's get away from the Brody, but they really stuck with it. And I did see the 4th one has a connection to it as well.
Okay.
Which is just kind of surprising. Like, just make a different. You don't need to connect it to all that.
No.
Just make a new scary Jaws.
It's a big shark movie. Just put a big shark in it. We don't need this family connection. You're totally right.
Yeah, and they got the music, and that's all you need.
Yeah.
I
feel like we should also take a moment, like, because this movie is like one of the things that we talked about when we were talking about what we could talk about for a podcast was like jumping the shark. And this movie literally has a shark and water ski jumps. So I know it's not. So what, Happy Days that originally did Jumping the Shark?
Right.
So, but this is like literally has the same stuff in it. It's, it has jumped the shark at this point for me. I can't imagine another movie being necessary at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes you wonder. I mean, were they trying to just do that? Like, let's just go for it. This will be the last Jaws. There's no way they're going to make a 4th one. Let's make it as ridiculous as possible.
And they did, man.
Yeah. Any final thoughts on Jaws 3D?
I don't think so. Yeah, it was a fun watch, especially at the end.
Yeah,
worth the price of admission, I think.
Yeah, if you like bad movies,
yes,
it's entertaining. Absolutely. It didn't get nominated for Best Picture like the first one, unfortunately.
What was the Academy thinking?
Crazy. Yeah. Well, do you have any milk to talk about this week?
I did not read any more of the book, but I'm planning on finishing it for next week. So no milk for me. Did you?
I actually don't have anything either. No.
Okay.
I didn't have much time. It's been a week. I got a new computer and all that, and I was setting it up and had some issues, and didn't really get around to much.
No worries, man. You're out there sitting on ice pack.
It's pretty hot here, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I believe you.
And camping and doing stuff, but yeah.
I'm definitely planning on finishing that book before next week, so I'll have some milk to talk about then. But maybe until then, to make sure we get the surveys filled out.
I think I'm going to go and play the board game for next week.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. Did you still want to try and do that?
Yeah, let's give it a go. Let's talk about that off mic.
Oh, that's right.
I forgot was still on. Yeah.
Cool. Well, that's Jaws 3D, everybody. Thanks for listening. And fill out our survey, which will be in the show notes. Yeah. Anything else?
That's it. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Yeah. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.